I read recently that Costco is now selling pickup trucks, which makes perfect sense because how the hell were you going to get all that shit home anyway? And that makes them truly American. So why does Trump hate them? Because they're truly American.
On President Donald Trump's first day back in office, he signed an executive order to end what he called illegal and radical diversity, equity, and inclusion practices in the public and private sectors. Dozens of major companies like Amazon, Target, Meta, and Starbucks listened and rolled back equity-oriented programs and removed DEI language from their websites. But some companies chose to stand up to the White House. Shareholders at companies like Levi's, Ben & Jerry's, and Apple stuck to their commitments, rejecting Trump's anti-DEI order. Other companies like Costco and Cisco chose to publicly defend their DEI policies, while others simply decided to continue their diversity efforts.
Let me explain what DEI means by telling you what it doesn't mean. It doesn't mean that poor white people are going to lose their jobs. What it does mean is that Costco will continue to grow by reaching out to communities that have been excluded from the American way because of racism, sexism, and fat-headed Republicans. What Trump and MAGA and really the whole Republican Party want is to go back to the 1950s where they defended segregation, white-only schools, white-only parks, white-only beaches, and laws against white and black people marrying.
White privilege is a racist myth.
And today they don't even try to hide it.
And the Civil Rights Act, though, let's be clear, created a beast, and that beast has now turned into an anti-white weapon. This topic would have been even more forbidden 4 or 5 years ago, but it's now becoming in more and more mainstream circles.
And of course, this trickles down to MAGA voters who, when asked about Costco's adherence to DEI because they care about people, well, this was their reaction.
President Trump recently signed an executive order banning diversity, equity, and inclusion practices from federal agencies and warning private sectors to do the same. Do you agree or disagree with this?
I agree with it. Yeah, I like merit-based. Everybody should know what they're doing at work and not just be there because of their color, race, or creed.
What do you think about Costco standing ground and keeping DEI?
So, I guess private businesses do what they can, yeah.
I totally agree with that.
Baloney, to be honest with you. I think they should get rid of it.
I support DEI. I think they need to include everybody.
I'm a huge fan of DEI, even though our current president is not.
No, I mean, they need to hire on merit alone.
So there was some good stuff in there too. Costco shareholders recently rejected a proposal that urged it to evaluate the risks of maintaining its DEI practices. And that came after Trump signed executive orders to end DEI programs in the federal government and target the private companies that pursue training and hiring practice that conservative critics have long condemned as discriminatory against people who do not belong to minority groups.
And white people are done being bullied.
Discriminating against and denigrating white people.
One Trump order calls for federal agencies to take action to stop private companies from using DEI, including by identifying companies or entities that could be subject to civil compliance investigations. But Costco said, fuck you. More than 98% of Costco shareholders voted against the proposal to evaluate the risk of maintaining the company's DEI policies at an annual meeting. But the shareholders said, we want this. So why does DEI bother Republicans so much? Because Trump and his racist cockwaffles lie to their base. And since the base only watches Fox News, they don't know the truth.
White supremacy, that's the problem. This is a hoax.
Last year, for example, Florida banned books that supported critical race theory, which is simply an academic framework that examines how race and racism have shaped legal systems and institutions in the United States and how this has impacted society. But Trumpers have no idea what it means, and their ignorance fuels this ridiculous debate.
We're trying to get a feel for people where they stand on the issues. Do you believe schools should be teaching critical race theory?
No.
Why not?
I feel like, honestly, it brings about more racism, bringing more issues around that don't need to be.
What is critical race theory for people that don't understand it?
See, I really don't even know. I'm assuming. Can you explain it a little bit to me, honestly?
Yeah. A lot of people have conflicting feelings about DEI. What's your main takeaway?
DEI, I think it's a good thing as long as you don't misuse it. When you misuse it, then I think it's a bad situation.
What is it? What does it stand for?
The DEI?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, I don't know.
Do you think we should ban DEI?
That's debatable. Very debatable.
Very debatable. And what is it for people that don't know?
About the DEI?
Yeah.
I just think it's too corrupted, or at least that's what is projected, is that it's very corrupted.
What is it?
That's a good question.
Do you think we should ban DEI?
I think so.
You do?
I think so. I think that we should take control over everything. I mean, Donald Trump needs to rearrange everything.
Including DEI?
Everything.
For people that don't understand, what is DEI?
Well, they need to really dig in and find out what it is.
Everybody needs to figure
everybody eats hamburgers, but nobody knows where the meat is coming from.
But as this next person explains, the biggest problem with DEI is most people hear it and their eyes glaze over.
Because let's face it, DEI is a bad word right now for millions of people. But there is an antidote to the myths that they're building up around DEI. Costco and the rest of corporate America needs to get much more detailed about what exactly their policies entail. For example, a lot of businesses have changed their hiring practices to require that all candidates answer the same standard list of interview questions. That doesn't mean anyone gets special treatment, as anti-DEI activists would have you believe. Quite the opposite. It's designed to give everyone a fair shake. Still, the reigning conservative argument seems to be that the Supreme Court outlawed DEI when it struck down affirmative action in college admissions. But the good news for corporate America is that the law is the same as it was 2 weeks ago, despite what the Trump administration might want us to think. And the next stage in this battle will be convincing the courts to keep it that way.
But back to DEI and critical race theory. Americans have this denial aspect to them. I mean, why else wouldn't you teach your kids about real history? The genocide of the American Indians and slavery, Jim Crow, and idiots like this bum pirate defending the worst of our history.
Florida's Board of Ed came out with their new Black History curriculum. Primetime looked at the curriculum. It's rigorous, it's in depth, it should be like that. It covers the darkest parts of American history, how slaves were shackled and trafficked from Africa, broken by their masters, and forced into atrocious conditions. But that's not all it covers. It's a brutally honest depiction of American slavery, the institution, and therefore covers slavery from the perspective of the slave, instead of just from the perspective of the master. The curriculum includes how black slaves were able to use their experience, in some cases, to make their brutally hard lives better.
Trump's attack on Costco won't work, and it might actually play a part in the midterms, because if there's one thing Americans hate, it's you fucking with their money. And paradoxically enough, that often opens their eyes to the plight and needs of others. Okay, maybe, but not often, but sometimes. I mean, when you break it down, it's diversity, which makes us able to pivot, equality, which pushes people to improve themselves, and inclusivity, which brings people together as a people. Why would any real American vote against that?
You've got to say, I'm a human being, God damn it!
They don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Goddamn right.
Do you have no shame?
I don't want to talk about this stuff.
Am I wrong?
Yes!
Tick-tock!
You're in a lot of trouble, Donnie.
I think he's crazy.
I'm Chip Franklin.